All right, welcome to the final episode recap of season 1. Minnie Mouse coming back wasn't on my bingo card, episode 8. I'm Mike.
I'm Carlos, and this whole episode wasn't on my bingo card.
Now, this was one of those episodes that we haven't shared our opinions on this with each other yet, so we're going in because we want to keep our powder dry. I did say on the Facebook group, I love this episode. It was everything I could have wished for in terms of what I wanted in terms of the final episode, and that it tied together a lot of the loose ends. It had some really funny moments. There wasn't any real mini sketch moments, I think, within the episode, as you have seen in the other ones. You can differ on that. And then we have a whole bunch of things to think about what season 2 could mean. But just that's my high level take. What did you think?
Yeah, I think high level also, I liked it. It did feel like, as I rewatched it, like the first 12 or 13 minutes is just like heartwarming. Like, especially the beginning. I did not expect the beginning to be so... like him and his wife are just like excited to be together. It shows them in bed, you know, like him and Barb just like connecting, and then him connecting with the kids. I mean, there's a little bit of an issue in the beginning, but I think overall it just felt like it started really wholesome. And then it just like, it's like a two-sided episode. It just like unraveled. But I love the fact that they put both of those together in one episode.
Yeah. We ended the last episode with Ron crying into the mirror for that super long hold cry scene. And we thought that there was so much things that got resolved without this could have been the final episode of the season. But I think I said in the last podcast recap, I said that could be a big head fake. And I think it was a big head fake. I think that we realized in this episode that the mystery we thought we were following may be a completely different mystery. We open on this wedding. And the dad is super drunk. He had, 7 cigars? I don't know.
10 cigars makes him drunk. He was also drinking.
Could dance. And by the way, someone said this reminded them of all the cold opens in Breaking Bad. And it was kind of like a Vince Gilligan cold open. Like, what is this? If you think about it, the Sedona opening was kind of a Vince Gilligan-like opening too, with a guy sitting in the pool. Just kind of a throwback to that episode. But we don't know where it's going. The dad's super hammered. He ends up in the bar. The bartender says, "You're too drunk." And a guy buys him a shot of bourbon. And this is where we start to realize, I think after this guy gets shot, holy crap, that the real mystery is not what we thought it was.
Right. And this whole scene. So first off, I don't want to say this too many times because I really enjoyed this show, but I have to be truthful. That whole scene with him and his daughter bothered me. I did not like that. I did not like the whole episode also starting on that scene because it was just awkward. It's something that does happen, and it just made me feel uncomfortable. I know they were trying to do that.
Yeah.
But
getting back to besides that shock opening, which was, like I said, a Vince Gilligan opening.
Yeah.
It flashed then to Ron in bed. It was a whole bunch of wholesomeness, and it was the most conventional episode, even though the second half of the episode went darker and kind of unraveled a little bit on the mystery side.
Yeah.
This was the most conventional overall episode that I felt of the whole season.
I think so. But you know what the mystery and the magic of the show is? We can say that, but then we can also talk later about something that happened that's insane. And also the beginning, a kid shoots this guy with a 3D printed gun. That is not conventional. So it's very powerful that they can pull off both of those.
The Stacey Crystal's character, it's clear as he's walking out after buying the bourbon, we see that he's on the phone with some dude, and it becomes clear that it's a scam. He doesn't know if the guy understood him. He didn't really want to bring him to Hollywood and hear his poem turned into a song.
No, he didn't.
And then, like you said, some kid walks in with a 3D printed gun. And not to get too, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of themes in society that we're all struggling with, like the loneliness of men, etc. Another one is gun violence, and that had not been a thing that had been touched on this entire season. All of a sudden, it's center square at the root of this whole episode. Like this kid with a 3D printed gun. And by the way, that seems like a taboo thing, like a kid pulling out a gun and shooting a man. It's such a weird thing how they just insert these crazy things that are happening in the broader world into society. It's just a plot point, and then we move on. We move on from that.
And we move on. I mean, it does definitely add to the, what is this criminal mastermind group that's going on? It kind of points to that, but it's a standalone thing. That's weird. But anyways, then we get to like the wholesomeness of it.
The wholesomeness of it. But I just have to say, there were so many red herrings. I mean, we could be forgiven maybe to a certain degree for with the predictions being going wrong. And someone said on one of the comments on the post, like, you guys are bad at predicting. Well, let's see someone else predict where this would have went, because it was crazy.
Yeah.
Because partly there were so many red herrings. Douglas, we at first thought Doug was the bad guy. And then Alice, we thought for sure at the end of last episode was a bad guy. Alice, the investor, Barb's boss. That's clearly the end of the story. Then maybe we thought the son and the daughter maybe was involved. The company itself. So many different things.
Yeah. And by the way, like, to anybody who left those comments, try to figure out the ending of this episode. I mean, come on. No one saw that coming.
We're going to get in it on the play-by-play, but it really, at the end, we realized Amanda was a much bigger figure than we ever thought she would have been. And I think, though, there was a little bit of I guess, a foretelling of her fixation with Ron. Do you remember that episode where she was in with the HR people, Dr. Stevens, the HR lady? They're observing them. And I think licks her finger and just.
Oh, yeah. She like totally is doing a tease thing, like a weird tease thing.
With the down thing. And we got, what was that? Because we did not expect that at all. They did a really good job, by the way, of the fact that Ron fell down within the first couple of minutes of the first episode, saw her panties, and we never really thought that she was the one that may have been the one that kind of drove the whole story and not some mysterious chair company.
I got to say this at the beginning too. Like, this is a totally like positive, but when I learned this idea, which is, oh, it was all at the beginning and it's this woman and she's got powers, which is crazy. But it made me like get excited about writing, if this makes sense. Because I write comedy, I write like different weird sketches and stuff. And it just gave me like a bunch of ideas. You know, like it made me think like, oh, it doesn't have to be the way that I always think of writing. It could be like, we just give you everything in the beginning, but then we fake you out, you know? And this might be like the oldest trick in the book. So if I'm like, seem amazed, whatever. But like, you know what I mean? Like it got me excited about like, oh, this is how you can actually play out the story.
Yeah, they did a really good job. And so this episode was written by Tim and Zach. It was the first episode they had written, I think, since the first two episodes. And I thought those first two episodes weren't my favorite overall because I thought the show really picked momentum. But as it turns out, this episode was my favorite. So they did a really great job with it.
This is your favorite? Oh, okay, cool.
I think so. It just came together so well. And it kind of gave, like I said at the very beginning, it gave me everything I wanted in terms of answering answers, but also making me baffled of where this thing's going to go.
Yeah.
But let's maybe jump to that scene after the opening scene where Ron wakes up, where he's next to Barb, and it's where he was from a mindset perspective. He's like, okay, we're going to drop this whole thing. I'm just going to live a happy life and support Barb. And then he tells her he's going to go get his job back, and Barb loves this thing. And man, they just feel like they're in a marital bliss at this point because Ron has basically moved past this. Mm-hmm. But as we see, it's pretty short-lived.
And also, she says he can like just do whatever he wants too. Remember? She's like, oh yeah, you know what? And if you don't have to go back, which was a surprise.
I think it was a surprise for him. And then he's like, okay.
Yeah, it's like literally pure bliss for the show. Like that moment is like, oh, it's maybe everything's going to work out. Of course, it won't.
So for the first 10 minutes, we're toggling back and forth between Ron wrestling with trying to be the supporting husband, moving on, enjoying this life that he has, and then all the things TikToking behind the scenes, including whether or not he's going to lose his job. And I just love that next scene at Fisher Bay in the crisis meeting. They're watching.
Yes, it's so
the
good.
Video, and it's so funny to watch Jeff get so pissed because everyone's talking about how he was overpowered by Ron.
Overpowered was the wrong word. That's hilarious. They use that word. Yeah, they watched that dumb video of the cars, the remote control cars. And I like that she goes like, Dad, they gave me this video. It's what I have to play. This is what they gave me. But then, yeah, they're really all focused on that, you know, Ron overpowered Jeff, which is obviously hitting at his manhood, which hit on his manhood last time when he was like hanging out with the boys. And then frickin' Douglas. Do you see why I hate him? Do you see why I hate him?
But you loved how he rolled over in his little wheelchair.
Yeah.
And then I love this line. He goes, he's so vindictive and hates Ron so much. He doesn't want Ron fired. He says that we should have all seen this from the beginning. We don't want to fire him, but we should just maybe demote him 3, 4, maybe 5 rungs. 5 rungs.
Maybe
to go
5
to 5
rungs. Yeah. No, he hates him. Are you kidding me? Since the beginning. Remember, okay, just to go back to that, it's almost like they laid out everything in the very first episode. Obviously, with the upskirt, and then he was like in line to get the position. So that's just very night and day. He resents him.
Oh, I know he does.
Yeah,
I know it is. And so that's great. And they continue to use the language of like, I think they described Jeff as getting ragdolled. Ragdolled. That made me laugh so hard. And the discomfort and how pissed Jeff gets when that description is just fantastic. Well, and then we have Ron and Natalie talk, and weirdly, Wendy's Carvers continues to be maybe part of the story, or they bring it up again, which I just think is hilarious. I don't think it's really part of the story, but I love that they made it more of the story and they brought it up again.
Yeah, that also comes back to do some damage at the end. Yeah, he talks with her about how he can't say anything. This is the whole thing. This is a through line. He wants to obviously, make this whole thing that he's been on a mission for end and be the victor. And he can't now because of the money. And he has to tell people that he can't tell them. So that's essentially what he does for him, for the whole family, essentially.
Well, there's such a key part of a man's identity is his career, that he's doing something. And as we remember, he's kind of competitive with Barb. As soon as the breast pump device came out, he came out with his own idea, the Jeep tours. Like he really wants to tell everyone about this mystery because he wants to make himself out the hero. He sits down with Seth on the bed and says how he did this. He tells Natalie how he solved it, but he really wants to tell everyone about it, but he can't. But as you can see over the next 5 to 10 minutes, he's getting weaker and weaker, and it's eventually about to explode with the story.
Yeah. And he does in this episode. I think the scene between him and Seth, we should talk about quickly again. So him and Seth talk, and Seth says he doesn't want to do basketball anymore. And again, this whole scene feels like from another show. And he's like, he wants to do stop motion animation, which now with like so much technology is not really the best move, maybe. And you could see that in Ron's eyes. He's like, okay, I guess.
But that was the first time that Ron had really taken time to sit down and listen to Seth. Mm-hmm. And we're going, wow, Ron is an amazing dad. He tells Seth that he doesn't have to do basketball and that he can actually do what he wants. And then he learns to stop motion animation. He kind of pauses for a bit. But then Ron can't help but, again, making it about himself. He's struggling with this thing about wanting to tell everyone because he wants everyone, including his son, to see him as a hero. And again, he's getting weaker by the minute.
And he literally does that in the same sentence. He's like, it's all good. Everything's fine. Go to that school. Seth is crying and stuff. And then he's like, oh, wait, I can't tell you about this thing. Seth gets upset, like visibly pissed at him.
He said, yeah, you're being fucking weird, Dad. Because he was being weird.
So you know what? I'm going to bring this in the middle of it. But I just think that the show is a dichotomy. Like the show is totally split. We don't know how to feel about Ron because he's literally both things.
Yeah, we keep saying about how we think he's a horrible, kind of self-centered asshole to Barb. Mm-hmm. And then he shows these amazing soft moments. Mm-hmm. And by the way, it flipped on its head later. I have to actually wondered if Barb is the asshole because as we learn later, she was mocking him and laughing at him. So, yeah. And that really kind of got into Ron's craw, and that really kind of set him off on like, okay, this thing's I'm going to blow it up. But like, before we get to that, it was just Ron struggling. And then he calls the newspaper tip line. And that was an interesting thing. That was kind of his first, I'm going to tell everyone. And then the second time he's going to tell everyone was when he's sitting with Jeff at the karaoke bar, which by the way, I love that scene so much. The karaoke bar is so awesome.
Yeah, it is good. Yeah, I think he calls and then he immediately decides he doesn't want to. And then they call him back because of caller ID. It's just him like wanting to do like we've been saying this whole beginning of the episode. He wants to do something he can't.
So we have to talk about the weirdest scene maybe, and certainly this episode, one of the weirdest scenes of the whole series is when he sees the dog eating chocolate. He takes the dog on a walk, takes baby on a walk in the woods. Baby runs off. He gets knocked out, and then he wanders to this house and sees his dog inside. This whole thing was insane to me.
None of this made sense. This feels like them just in the writer's room going like, what crazy thing can we do? Like, what can we? They're like, we have a captive audience of a gazillion people. We have the HBO homepage. This is what I think they did. And they were like, let's really mess with them.
But there's been strings of surrealism throughout this whole series. We've often wondered if like this was fever dream stuff, and we went a little bit too far down that path with the episode 5, the Scrooge episode, because it was so crazy. But this had dream elements to it because he got knocked out again. He's always getting knocked out, by the way, and then he wakes up. And so, but the getting knocked out and waking up makes me wonder if like, okay, how much was real, how much wasn't real, especially that next scene where he goes into the shed. And by the way, why would you ever go into the shed?
Oh,
he never go into the shed. That's like the horror movie #1 rule: don't go into the shed.
I know, and all the stuff that's happened to him, he should not go in the damn shed. We have to talk about a lot about this scene. I'm stand by that this is just a writer's room thing, because if you look at the scene with the popcorn and the old lady and the popcorn, nothing happened with that. That was just to be ridiculous and dark. I don't know. I just think there's these moments where they go, what can we do that's just crazy? And I bet you I'm right on that. I bet you I'm
maybe,
right.
But there's a couple things.
Okay.
What was that guy turned into a shapeshifter after he's looking at that weird shape? Like this is
he goes, I made a new shape, which is hilarious, by the way.
Yeah.
And he goes, and Ron goes, oh, it is a new shape.
It's like a weird Coco Pelli Southwestern like shape, it's like a weird thing.
And then he turns around
in a weird transparent box, and he turns around. And what happens?
He's got makeup on his face. That's just like
a demon. It's
like a demon face thing. And they never explain that. Even when he wakes up, Ron never even asks about it.
But that's what I'm talking about. Is that was the shapeshifter demon faced moment a dream where he's kind of not quite, he's going in and out of reality, and then he just wakes up on the couch, and that's the wake up?
I guess, but then why did he get knocked out?
Because he fell down, and I have to wonder if he fell down and the guy helped him to his house, and he's in a dream sequence the whole time. Like, well, that's what I'm saying. We don't know what is reality with that whole going to the shed thing, if that even happened.
I guess so. But then what's even weirder is, again, we don't really talk about this, but that's his dog. He goes, I'm sorry, I bought him. Well, then where did Ron buy him?
Yeah, and there's a moment there where we wonder if Ron stole the dog from that house, but I don't think he did.
No, he said he bought him, and he's like, he was apologizing.
But then the social media Instagram post later, the comments said that they let the dog loose. So there's all this weird different. Yeah, there's so many weird things happening with this scene. We don't know what's reality.
That he brought the dog back. That is funny. That's funny. They're like,
we don't know what was up or what was down with this. This just is more of the writers and them just creating something for us to keep us unsure what is up and what is down.
I'm almost positive Tim Robinson right now is laughing his ass off. If he listens to the show, that'd be great. That we would even try to dissect that, because I guarantee you, they're just like, let's just mess with him. Anyways, Demon House over,
and he's sitting there, and he gets an email. He goes up to his room. And he does some emails. He decides to, I think, call Jeff, and Jeff answers, and he says, "Let's get together," because I feel like Ron realizes he's got to do something. He doesn't know if he's going to tell the story. He doesn't know if he needs to go back to Fisher Robe. But as he's heading out the house, Barb talks to him and says she's sorry about laughing at him.
Which is the opposite of what he thought. He thought she was saying he's such a good detective, which, by the way, why would he think that? But he thought that she was supporting him on his crazy, mission. And no, she was laughing and calling it cute. And then she did it again to his face like a bunch. And that's maybe the second time I've ever seen like Ron be mad. Right. And he just like wants to leave.
And this is the first time I feel like he's justifiably mad at Barb, because as I've said before, I love her character. I love the actress, and I feel like she's overall been nice, but I think she's maybe more manipulative than we thought. And she just was thought he was on some weird, dumb adventure. This guy who's not supporting the family. What's he doing now? Why is he not out earning money? And then he feels kind of crushed. And so when he's leaving, she says, "Thank you, I love you," and he just says bye. He doesn't respond. He doesn't respond. He just heads out the door.
He's done. And yeah, that is crazy if you think about it, because we were watching this whole show, all the stuff that's happened. If she's known a lot about a lot of it and never said anything, that's almost just as weird as not telling somebody.
God, there's so many scenes I love in this episode, but I love the karaoke scene so much.
Mm-hmm.
We see Ron walk in, and then he sits down with Jeff and some other dude.
Yeah, that other dude, I was like, why does he have to be here? Get him out of here. I was like so angered that guy was even there.
But Jeff and this dude are pressuring Ron, and you could tell that they have a big night plan to basically, I guess, big brother him or kind of pressure him into doing something. We don't quite know. It's still a little bit of a mystery to me what they were planning to do with the evening. But then they're both telling stories, and they tell Ron to tell a story. And Ron, this is where Ron cracks, and he's about to tell the story of how he broke this whole mystery down, which, as we learn later, would have been crazy because Jeff's part of the story, part of the mystery.
Yeah.
And then Jeff gets called up to do his karaoke, and then I love that he goes up there and actually sings.
He sings it, but it's not good enough. So he goes up to sing, and then he doesn't like the version that they were using.
Yeah, some yacht rock song though, which I loved.
Yeah, and then at some point, he's like, here, listen to me sing. I actually sing. And he gives the phone to Ron, and he has all these different songs that he's actually sang. And so Ron's listening to the song, and then he notices that song sounds familiar.
It's the Red Ball Marketing Corp Hold song.
Yeah. Oh, it's a different song, but it sounds like
it's Red Dress. It's Red Dress or something.
Yeah.
Jeff says he has all these songs he's written and sung. At first, Ron's, your voice sounds amazing. Then he hears the song, which is the Hold song.
Yeah. And he there's that great scene where he goes to the bathroom, he has to run to the bathroom, and he holds them both up to his ears to make sure.
I love that. I love that one ear is playing the Hold music, and the other ear is playing Jeff's song.
It's beautiful.
His eyes just, and as we see, whenever he really has an epiphany, the great eye expressions of Tim Robinson. He opens his eyes wide, and then he runs out. He knows where he's going. He's going to Jeff's office. He gives Jeff his phone, then heads out the door.
And when he gets to the office, this is a great time to bring up something I always wanted to bring up, and I forgot to. It's not like a huge part of the show, but to me, it always bothered me. He's all mad. He's at the office. He's trying to figure things out. And that blue wall that Jeff told him not to stand against, it was the weirdest line when he did it. Was it episode 1 maybe or 2 where he goes, "Don't stand against that wall. This is an office."
Yeah.
That's not a lie. No one says that. But because he stands against it all mad, which doesn't do anything, but it opens up a little contraption, and then he can find all the notes.
Yeah, so there's a secret door with files, which are just conveniently enough all the Red Ball Marketing Incorporation files, and it has Jeff's name on it, and also has Stacy Crystals, who's the guy who got shot.
Yep.
The guy who's in on the scam, or I think maybe even scamming Jeff. So one theory that was proposed on the Reddit that I was reading is that Jeff was maybe scammed into thinking he could be a singer, because it's clear that Jeff has these delusions of grandeur about himself, whether or not it's to be this manly man or to be like a famous singer. And as we saw with the Stacey Crystals bar scam with the wedding singer dad or the dad, they're trying to scam older men into thinking they could be artists. And I have to wonder if Jeff was scammed.
Oh my goodness.
And Red Ball Marketing Corporation's tied to this whole scam.
That's a very good theory. And it would tie perfectly in with my theories that this whole show is just, I think you should leave. And because that is a huge sketch. And that would really be like the whole show would be about that. That's crazy.
There's a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of skits that had little germs of ideas that I think maybe got expanded into bigger ideas. But yeah, you have to wonder if Jeff was part of the scam. I think season 2 revolves around what Stacy Crystals and this whole other corporation was, and how Jeff is involved, and then also Amanda. Like there's two big competing things here. Like, what is this scam? Why did that kid shoot Stacy Crystals? And then what did we find out in the final scene with this masked dude and Amanda? Like that's a whole nother part.
Well,
That
let me.
that may be debunked in the first episode. You know how like a lot of like the cliffhangers are debunked immediately in the beginning of the next episode?
Mhm.
Like, is that going to be debunked right away? Like this Amanda thing?
They can. I mean, that's the beauty of having a show that, like, from the very beginning, you don't know what's happening. Before we get to the really kind of weird big ending, there's that scene that I want to talk about, which is what I was saying at the beginning. Why I didn't like Mike. Yeah, they had kind of like a little breakup scene that I don't think we ever like went over about Mike saying that he didn't want to be Scrooge, and they didn't mention the scene, but he wanted to be like remembered as a person that did something good. But then, and I'm like, okay, cool. I think I might still like him. And then this scene, which is Ron talking to that woman.
So Ron comes home and Lynette is waiting for him because Ron had actually gone to Lynette's house to tell her that Mike was a good guy, but she wasn't there. Her stepmom was, her aunt was there, and says, "Stay away, Mike. Mike's not who you think he is."
Yeah.
Anyway, so Ron comes home. Lynette's waiting, and she basically warns him away, saying, Mike got a heart transplant from her dad, and then he started stalking the family and became this really weird dude.
Yeah. He like wanted to be part of the family. And the scenes that she was saying like creeped me out. Like it was pretty, he was like, let's date. I mean, it was weird. Right? Do you not feel differently about Mike after that scene? Is what I'm saying.
Well, I feel differently about Mike because as we saw in the last montage, there's a final montage. Mike's sitting in his apartment with someone in the bathtub.
Jeez. Who knows what's going on there? Yeah, I think
there's a guy tied up in the bathtub. The guy was tied up in the bathtub in Mike's apartment.
Well, okay.
So ultimately, Ron gets a phone call from the weird, scary horror movie voice guy, and he says, "Do you want to finally meet?" He also at some point goes, "You're not Alice. You're not tied to Alice."
He's all mad.
And then the guy asks him eventually if he wants to meet, and then Ron heads over there, which actually he heads to his old high school. Clue number one that something weird is going to happen. And then right as he's entering, there's a montage of three things. There's one of Mike in his apartment.
There we go.
Listening to Wazy Waynes. And there's a guy sitting in the bathtub tied up.
The guy in the bathtub is the guy who was talking to the mayor who wanted to be in the hot tub.
Oh,
because I'm looking at the screen right now.
That's the same guy?
Yeah, and he's got him tied to the toilet with a little like a strip and one of those little black strips. And he looks like he got hit on the head. So he's got like a mark on his head, which Mike likes to do. Doink. So he took him probably for like, for
he
for
did.
Ron.
So that actually is a great clue, and that's a great note because you don't know if he's this weird stalker or serial killer dude, but what he did is just take the bathtub, the hot tub guy. Maybe he thought like he's trying to help solve the mystery. Who knows?
Yeah, and right after that, another scene is the family looking at Seth's stop motion, and they're like very excited about it.
Yeah.
So it's like again juxtaposition: weird, dark, heartwarming.
So the other part of the montage was we hear that Jeff's on the phone. He hears that Stacy Crystals get shot, and then we see Ron walking into the high school gym, right?
Yep. To meet Jason. He's got the mask on.
Yeah. Guy steps out from behind one of the bleachers or something. And then like he follows everything you shouldn't do in a horror movie, he's doing. But that's obviously what you do in a horror movie to make the plot move forward. And then he goes back there, and then this was craziness. This whole scene is craziness.
Before we get to the full-on craziness, was because it's a Jason mask again, was this the guy? It can't be the guy in the back of his backyard who he saw in the video, and the guy did his little head movement, because that guy was thin.
So you think there's two independent people, independent of each other, that would just do Jason masks?
I don't know, but it's not this guy is what I'm saying. This guy's a bigger guy. So it wasn't,
Yeah.
Remember, we thought it was Seth because he was like a thin guy. So then that's weird. And then the guy has an unusual face. I don't know what to say about this.
This is a very unusual face. It's a horror movie face.
Yeah, it looks like there's a mask on him.
Yeah, like he had a mask under a mask, and it was like a fake, almost surgical. Like maybe he had a catastrophic disfiguring accident, and then he had some bad surgery to repair it. That's what it looks like to me.
That's what it's probably supposed to be. I kind of did pause it and saw a little bit of a mask line. So maybe they wanted me to see the line of the mask. because maybe he just has a mask on because he wants to conceal his identity twice.
So this is where we realized everything we thought about the show may be different. And then we realized that Amanda might be at the center of everything. And so, like you said, at the very beginning, if we just looked at what happened with that accident, Ron falls down. He looks up, and then we didn't really think about it. We thought that was a complete accident. We went with the chair company theory, but what we didn't go with was the Amanda's controlling this and wants Ron to look up her panties theory. Which is what this crazy guy proposes. He says she did this.
He has them there, by the way. He has the panties.
He forces Ron to look at the panties. Ron grosses out. But if you recall, he says that there was a very formative moment in high school when Ron was in theater class with everyone. I think he's trying to catch gummies in his mouth. He accidentally throws it too high and it goes down Amanda's cleavage. And it kind of reminded me, by the way, of the Seinfeld like mint that goes in during surgery.
Oh, junior mint. Yeah.
The junior mint. Like maybe it's a hat tip to that, but the gummy goes into Amanda's cleavage. And as the boyfriend tells it, this weird disfigured boyfriend says, she hasn't been able to let this go. She hasn't been able to let go since high school.
Is he dating Amanda right now? This guy?
Yeah. He yells at Ron that she's his girlfriend.
Okay. I thought so. Yet he's never shown up, but I guess he wouldn't because he wouldn't go to the workplace. At the very end, he says,
by the way, we don't know if it's he may be a stalker. He may be a creepy dude. He may be a creepy dude who's fixated with Amanda, and Amanda has broken his heart because Amanda wants Ron. We don't even know if this mind control thing is real. Like he just may think that. He's just so weird, but is it possible Amanda could break things with her mind?
Right. That's the main line. She broke the chair with her mind. She's my girlfriend. You did this. Yeah. So many things done back in one sentence. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, again, it feels like what can we just throw as a weird thing at the end? But that said, it also does feel like something planned from the beginning.
I just love how this entire season we've been going down a couple different paths. Ron's in a dream state. This was created. Maybe there's an evil company creating this whole thing. Oh, now we think it's Alice. Oh, is this something that Barb and the daughter did because Ron had his head injured and they're just handling him with baby gloves? All these things were theories that were posited by us, maybe by others. Was this a scene elsewhere? Was this a Fight Club? Was this whatever kind of other movie we've seen before? And it looks like it was none of that. And it made me think, I wrote this on the comment page, is like, this show, why I was so satisfied with this episode is like, this show is unlike any other show I've ever watched for. And it's rare that you could say that. It gave me the feeling like when I was watching Severance after Severance first season, like that was an entirely original show. I feel like this is an entirely original show. It's unlike any other show we've seen before. And it was just so satisfying. And it had all these mixture of elements from comedy to mystery to horror. And I think like these writers who probably grew up on all these influences that we grew up on, they inserted all that into the show.
Yeah, and I agree. Just thinking about the whole season and our season of the episodes of podcast, we've like went in a lot of different directions ourselves. Dream worlds, Tekka, who's pulling the strings, and yeah, to throw at the very end, oh, mind powers, and it's not who you thought it was. But then again, the Alice stuff and a bunch of things did still happen. So
yeah, and so another theory that was posited, I think, again on the Reddit thread that I was reading about is, or maybe it's on the review on one of the other websites, but did Barb have Alice say all this to maybe help him think that the mystery is solved? Like, was Alice set up by Barb or someone else to give Ron a little resolution to his mystery, so he just dropped the whole thing? Because Alice said that she was behind the whole thing, but now that we find out she wasn't, so there has to be some manipulation there, and I have to wonder if Barb was part of the manipulation.
That's a very good theory also, because that would wrap up the fact that Barb knew about stuff, right? Like, so she knew, and if she knew
about stuff, she viewed Ron as something of a child. He's doing stupid shit that she's tired of because she's the
making
breadwinner.
Fun of. Yeah,
she's making fun of him. She just wants Ron to settle down and get serious about shit. So like she gives a resolution. Alice is in on the game, and so we still haven't resolved that, but I think that maybe that's partly right what the story might be. And then we end with this season, like we don't know if Jeff with his fake corporation, we don't know if Amanda with her mind control is the real deal and the real story. I'm so excited to find out what the real story is for season 2.
Yeah, or what the more of the real story is, right? Because that's if anything we can learn from this episode in this season is that they're just going to keep doing that, right? Giving us more things that we go, they're threads, they're all threads. But that is part of the fun of it.
And by the way, this kid with a gun, he runs out, there's a murder that happened in the very first scene. Is that something in season 2 that we're going to find more about? Like, what happens with this kid? Like, who is this mystery of people? This guy ruined this kid's dad's life with a scam. Like, that's a story there that we kind of even didn't talk that much about, but I feel like that might be a bigger deal next season.
I feel like, just thinking about it right now, after processing it all, to go back to one more of the season 1 reference to Lynch. I think it was Mulholland Drive that has this thing where you have this intricate network of mastermind bad people, or at least like shady people. And the movie kind of like shows it a lot. Lost Highway does this too a little bit. It starts showing you the behind the scenes of like, oh, this is actually, it's all real and it's weird. And maybe that guy with the mask and the dog is real too. But here's how it all connects. And I feel like the kid and Stacey Crystals, and probably not Alice, because I think that wraps up nicely, but a lot of the other stuff I think will be season 2. Like, I think they're going to pull back the curtain and show us some of that network. That's because I think Lynch would do that too. He'd like hide a bunch of stuff and then he'd slowly be like, okay, it's actually this person and this whole weird network of stuff. Well,
as I often do, I watched this show last night, then I watched it this morning, and it's kind of as you mull on an episode overnight and you think about it, and you sit on it for a bit, you begin to appreciate it more. And I think we'll appreciate the season more as we stew on it. And I think we're going to do an episode next week on kind of a whole season recap, and then I think we want to do one on predictions for season 2.
Yep.
So, folks, we're going to keep this going. We would love to hear from you about your ideas for other episodes. We're also thinking about doing a friendship recap, like watching Friendship, the movie with Tim Robinson that he put out this summer, and just doing a recap on that. So we're going to keep going. But yeah, we'd love to hear from all you guys. Join the Facebook page. Drop us an email. I actually created an email, thechaircompanyfiles@gmail.com. Drop us one there. And yeah, we'd love to hear from you.
We could probably, in next episode, also go through a bunch of the Facebook page comments and bring them in to next episode, because a lot of you have said a lot of things about the episode. Probably too much to read right now because it's actually, the Facebook page is going crazy. So let's bring those to the next episode. And before we go, one more thing. I love Detroiters, hence my t-shirt if you're watching the video version. So I just thought maybe posit the idea of going through Detroiters season while we waited for this show.
Yep.
Just an idea.
All good ideas. That might take a little while to figure out what we want to do next, but we're definitely going to do a season recap next episode and do a prediction show, then just see where it goes. But thanks everyone for listening.
Yeah, thanks for listening to this whole season. I'm excited to keep talking about it.
Bye.
Bye.